Hello, today I'm going to show you the par levels of my SPS corals. I'm going to tell you about my new Leopard Wrasse, and we're going to have a discussion about invertebrate quarantine. Hello and welcome back everyone to Azul TV. Happy New Year. It's January 2021. Hopefully you had an enjoyable break. Alright, we're going to do a few things this video. I'm going to tell you about par on my SPS. I've been getting a lot of requests about what my par levels is, and I'm going to update you on that. We're also going to talk a little bit about quarantining corals and invertebrates and whether we should, and if you can quarantine them, what are the best practices for keeping your tank safe. But first I want to tell you about my new Leopard Wrasse. So this little girl has been in my quarantine for about quarantine tank for about 6 weeks now. She's doing so well. She's been got all of her medications. And the only issue that I've had with her is that she just wouldn't eat any frozen or frozen food, pellets or flakes. So I've literally had to kind of make her hatch her out brine shrimp daily and feed her. And I was a little bit kind of worried that she might not eat frozen or prepared food once I put her in a tank, but I was hopeful that maybe once she sees the other fish eating frozen, then she'll also join along. So I put her in. This is literally, I think, the second day she's in the tank. Beautiful girl. I think this is from day 2. What I thought would be fun is because I know she knows how to eat brine shrimp, live brine shrimp, but I didn't have any frozen brine shrimp and she wasn't touching the mysis. So I decided to go and get some frozen brine shrimp, and lo and behold, she took to it right away. I guess it helps that it looks kind of like the fish the shrimp that she's been eating live. And since then she's been a little bit more adventurous with food. So all in all, I have 3 wrasses in my tank now. This is the Pintail Fairy Wrasse. Very friendly super male, likes to come and eat from my hand. And then I have a yellowtail Tamarin wrasse, which you'll see darting around. Unfortunately, with the Leopard Wrasse coming in, I had to get rid of or rehome my Moyer Leopard Wrasse. The Moyer was getting a little bit too big, and he loved creating like sandstorms in my tank. So I was a little bit sad to have him to rehome him, but I'm really excited about this new fish. Her name is Kitty Dot. Leopard Wrasse Kitty. Leopard Wrasse Kitty. We thought it fits. One thing that I'll before I show you the par levels, another question that I typically get is my parameters. So right now the tank is running at alkalinity of 8.6, calcium 455, magnesium 1450. Nitrates are a little bit lower. They're about 2.5 ppms. I like to keep them at 5, so I'm still dosing potassium nitrate. And my phosphate levels are at 0.16. Yeah, you heard correctly. It's 0.16, not 0.016. I do like to kind of keep my tank a little bit on the high nutrient sides, and I don't run any like GFO or any phosphate reducing media. Here is me feeding like something kind of an inexpensive version of Redsea, and you could see the Leopard Wrasse eating. This Leopard Wrasse, I've always wanted to have one ever since I started my tank, and for just like for some reason or another, they weren't available when I had my QT system running, or when I got them, they wouldn't eat, and they got sick in quarantine, and then they just never recovered. So I'm really excited for this new edition. Okay, let's do our par on the SPS. I know a lot of you are curious about what I run my levels. And I have been increasing the Gen 5 radions, I think 1% every week. So right now I'm running them at around 73%. and I actually haven't measured the par level since I installed the lights, so I thought this was kind of a good opportunity to get the Senai par meter and go out and figure out what my par levels are. All right, let's begin. And the first coral you're going to see is the worldwide coral Little Red Ferrari, and it's getting around 290 par. One thing that I'm really impressed by is how even things are with the new Gen 5 light. So I'm very happy at the spread. The Hawkins Ishinada is about 290 par. The Orange Passion right beside it is about 275. It's a little bit lower. Love the colors. It's slowly encrusting, but I think it's I can't wait to see it get bigger. The Cali Tort is sitting at 280 par, and above it is the Gum Digitata, which is just I keep fragging it and it just keeps getting bigger. I think I might have to move it, but it's about 260. Yeah, I think I should move it somewhere where it could grow a little bit more. The Applejack is 230. The Slimer is 310. And back in the tank is the Blueberry Wine Acro, and it's sitting at around 210. I find that the front part of the tank gets a little bit more light. I think it's because the light reflects off of the glass, but in the back it's black. The Jolt is 270. The Golden Jaw Dropper is 310. The Walt Disney is 275. And the kind of the star of the show, the PC Rainbow, is 290. And off to the side in this boulder here, we have Marvin the Martian at 260. Then we have the Reef Raft Pot of Gold is about 240, 250. Doing well, still a little bit green. The Strawberry Shortcake, the colors are looking really fantastic, and it's sitting at around 260 par. My Pac-Man, which I was trying to take a little bit of a frag off, but the whole crown got severed. It's getting 285, which is like amazing considering that it's on the sand bed. Major Laser is getting 280. The Fox Flame, which is looking really mean, is getting I think, what was it, 250. And then off to the corner, the front right corner of the tank is the Pink Cadillac, Reef Raft Pink Cadillac, and it's getting also around 280 par. The Bonsai Valida, I think it's about 240, 230. Actually, no, sorry, 215. The Pink Lemonade is, let's just wait, 280. Again, slowly encrusting. I can't wait for it to get larger. On the back and the side here, we have the TNT and Acropora, 215. And then on the top, on the crown of this right boulder, we have the Electric Myagi Tort, on average about 270. And then the Reef Raft Rainbow Loom, which has these lovely like pinkish purplish tips. That's getting around 260. So that's it for the par map, with me running the 3 Radeon Gen 5 Blues at 73%. I feel like I'm there. I'm not sure whether I want to push the lights anymore. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Whether I should like crank it up to like maybe 80. So let me know what you think, whether I should keep it as is or crank it up. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is a question that I got from one of the subscribers of the channel, and the question was about quarantining corals and whether I quarantine corals and invertebrates like snails and cleanup crew. And I'll say that a lot of people tend to be kind of black and white with quarantine. They either say, okay, well, I'm going to quarantine everything, or because you can't quarantine everything, then you shouldn't quarantine at all. I don't think in kind of black and white, and I think anything that you could do to kind of increase the biosecurity of your tank, I think that's beneficial. So for fish, I think it's really easy to quarantine fish. All you need is like a 10-gallon for at least most small fish that you would keep in a 55-gallon display. So it's just a minimum setup, and I have it in the basement running, and I always quarantine my fish because I don't want to introduce any pests to the reef, and it's really hard to eradicate fish diseases in a reef setting, because a lot of the chemicals that would kill the diseases would also kill your corals. Now, I think quarantining corals and quarantining invertebrates is also a really good idea if you have the space for it. Unfortunately, because a lot of my corals are SPS, I just don't have the size of the tank and the time to totally kind of maintain another smaller SPS system to quarantine my frags. So I don't do a traditional quarantine on my frags. However, I do have a series of steps that I think help kind of reduce the risk. Again, I don't think of this as kind of black and white. If you can't do a coral quarantine, then here are a few things that I do that I think reduce the risk. So number one, buy the seller. That means like always buy from like somebody's tank who you trust and you've seen in person. So I typically like if I'm gonna pick up a tank from somebody, I'm gonna go like visit their system, and I'm gonna be looking out for things like coral diseases. I've been to people's houses and to buy corals, and I looked at their tank and it looked nasty, and I said sorry, I apologize for wasting your time, but I don't think I could buy corals from you today. So make sure that you're getting your corals from somebody you trust, who you've seen the tank, and then when you bring the coral home, do look at it under the microscope. And I always give it a very thorough look under the microscope, and any kind of signs of disease or anything unusual, I just chuck the frag in the garbage. I don't even like worry about doing any dipping if I notice signs of infection or diseases. Again, it's not worth the risk. And yes, I've thrown away like expensive corals because I just all my other SPS, my SPS collection is pretty expensive, and it doesn't make sense to kind of roll the dice on a coral that's $50, $100 when you have like hundreds of dollars worth of corals in your system. So if the coral checks out under the scope, then what I do is I take clippers and I remove the SPS from its base, and I chuck the frag plug that it came on, and then I dip it. Reason being is that a frag plug often has a lot of crevices that it's difficult to kind of like get into, and typically a lot of the pests, they will lay their eggs around the base of the coral. So by kind of removing the base and throwing away the plug, you're kind of maybe reducing the chances that you're going to have any eggs or juvenile pests get into your system. Then I do a full 10-minute dip with Revive, and then I put the colony into my put the coral into my tank. So that's kind of my process, and I think at least for myself, I think kind of these steps have helped me not run into any weird SPS diseases in my system. Now for my invertebrates, like cleanup crew, snails, shrimps, crabs, I do also apply a couple of rules when I go shopping for them. Is one, when I go and let's say I'm gonna buy snails, I always obviously go check out the tank, make sure it's healthy, and I always buy snails and cleanup crew from tanks that are fishless. The reason being is that things like ick and things like velvet do have a stage where the parasite is laying dormant on the surface of the tank. Or it could be in a rock work, they settle down. It could be on the shell of a snail. So when I'm buying invertebrates, I always make sure that the tank that they're in hasn't had any fish, and I ask the local fish store, the people that work there, and ask them whether how long have you kept this as a invertebrate only tank, and has there been any fish in there recently? Because I don't want to bring like ick on the back of a crab or a snail. Other than that, I just make sure that the cleanup crew is kind of healthy and eating, and I don't worry too much about like getting like shrimp diseases or crab diseases or snail diseases, because to me, like yes, if they wipe up all the snails in my tank, you know, that's not like a huge deal. You could just go buy more snails or buy more crustaceans. I don't want to buy snails that potentially have been exposed to some of the stages of ick or velvet, and then by putting them in my tank, then I'd be putting my fish at risk. So those are the kind of the steps that I apply. Obviously, if you are able to have a dedicated system for quarantining corals and invertebrates, then that will be the best case scenario. But if you don't have the ability or the means or the space to have several tanks for all of quarantining corals and invertebrates, then there are some things, just kind of common sense things about what you should be looking for and what you could do to kind of reduce the risk. All right, everyone, that's it for this video. Hope everybody's doing well and healthy. Enjoy your tank, and see you later.